Introduction. Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, explores how companies can transition from being good to becoming great, which is defined as generating cumulative returns of at least 3 times the general stock market for 15 years. Collins and his research team studied 3 groups of public U.S. companies over a 5-year period to understand the differences between companies that become great and those that remain mediocre. The first group consisted of companies that had been performing at or below the average stock market performance for 15 years before making the transition to greatness. The second group were comparison companies that remained mediocre or failed to make the same transition despite having the same opportunities. The third group consisted of companies that made a short-lived transition to greatness before sliding back to a performance level substantially below the stock market average. To determine what good to great companies did differently, Collins and his team analyzed over 6,000 press articles and 2,000 pages of executive interviews. This book provides actionable steps based on their findings that can help companies make the same leap from being good to becoming great. Chapter 1. Discovering your hedgehog concept will provide you with a clear direction to pursue. Jim Collins uses an analogy to explain the strategy that good to great businesses use to clarify their decisions. The analogy involves a cunning fox hunting a hedgehog, and despite the fox's surprise attacks and sneaky tactics, the hedgehog prevails every day by curling up into an unbreachable ball. Good to great companies discover their own hedgehog concept by answering 3 questions: what they can be the best in the world at, what they are passionate about, and what key economic indicator they should concentrate on. After several years of iteration and debate, these companies are able to identify their simple hedgehog concept, and every decision they make aligns with this concept, leading to success. By staying true to their identity and having a clear goal, companies can grow in a focused way rather than sporadically in multiple directions. Ultimately, it's all about simplicity. Chapter 2. Achieving success involves making many small, incremental pushes in the right direction over time. Good to great companies undergo a gradual transformation that appears sudden and dramatic from a distance. However, the companies themselves may be unaware of the change, as it is the result of small, incremental pushes in the direction of their simple strategy. These small improvements generate results that motivate the companies to push further until they gather enough speed for a breakthrough. Nucor, a steel manufacturer that was on the verge of bankruptcy in 1965, understood that they could produce steel more efficiently than anyone else by using mini-mills. They built a mini-mill, gained customers, built another one, and gained more customers, and so on. CEO Ken Iverson realized that if they continued in the same direction, they could one day become the most profitable steel company in the U.S. It took over 2 decades, but eventually, the company reached its goal and outperformed the stock market by a factor of 5. In contrast, their competitors attempted to change their fortunes with dramatic shifts and hasty acquisitions, which prevented the flywheel from gathering any momentum. The key to success is to form a hedgehog concept and stick with it. Good to great companies maintain an unwavering faith and adherence to their simple strategy, which is rewarded by a virtuous circle of motivation and progress. By consistently striving to build momentum in one direction, companies can achieve their goals and see results. Chapter 3. The proper way to approach new technology is to consider it as a tool for accelerating progress towards a goal, rather than treating it as the goal itself. Good to great companies utilize new technology to accelerate their momentum in the direction they are already heading, rather than allowing technology to dictate the direction. For these companies, technology is a means to an end and is evaluated against their larger company goals and direction. If the technology can help them on that path, they will become pioneers in it. If not, they will either ignore it or match their industry's pace in adopting it. In contrast, comparison companies often view new technologies as a threat and scramble to adopt them with no overarching plan. Walgreens provides an excellent example of how new technology can be harnessed effectively. When an online drugstore company called drugstore.com was launched, Walgreens considered how an online presence could help them with their original strategy of making the drugstore experience more convenient and raising profits per customer. Just over a year later, they launched Walgreens.com, which advanced their original strategy through new features like online prescriptions. While drugstore.com lost nearly all of its original value in a year, Walgreens bounced back and almost doubled its stock price in the same time. Overall, good to great companies view technology as a tool to achieve their goals rather than a determining factor in their direction. By evaluating new technologies against their larger company goals and direction, they can harness them effectively and achieve success. Chapter 4. Level 5 leaders are the driving force behind successful transformations from good to great. Company leadership is critical to the success of any organization, and through his research, Collins discovered the importance of Level 5 leadership in good to great companies. Level 5 leaders are not only excellent individuals, team members, managers, and leaders, but they are also single-mindedly ambitious on behalf of the company, fanatically driven toward results, and want their organization to continue performing long after they leave. Additionally, they are humble, modest, and slow to take credit for their company's achievements. They praise their team but are quick to shoulder blame and responsibility for any shortcomings. Great companies are built by great leaders, and Darwin Smith is a prime example of this. He transformed Kimberly-Clark into one of the world's leading paper-based consumer goods companies without cultivating an image of himself as a hero or a celebrity. In contrast, 2 out of 3 comparison company CEOs have large egos that are counterproductive to the long-term success of their organization, as evidenced by the lack of succession planning. Stanley Galt, the tyrannical CEO of Rubbermaid, left behind a management team so shallow that, under his successor, Rubbermaid went from being Fortune magazine's most admired company to being acquired by a competitor in just 5 years. In conclusion, Level 5 leadership is critical to the success of good to great companies. These leaders are driven, ambitious, and humble, and their focus on results and long-term success is what sets them apart. By cultivating Level 5 leaders, companies can ensure that they have the right people in place to guide them toward success. Chapter 5. A strong foundation for greatness is built upon having the right people in the right positions. Hiring the right people is of utmost importance, and this goes beyond just the CEO and top leadership. According to Collins, the transformation from good to great begins with getting the right people into the company and removing the wrong ones, even before defining a clear path forward. Good to great companies place more emphasis on finding people with the right character traits rather than professional abilities and believe that hardworking individuals can be trained and educated. They foster an environment where hard workers thrive and lazy workers leave. In top management, people either jump ship or stay for the long run. The right people will eventually find a way to success. For example, when Dick Cooley took over as the CEO of Wells Fargo, he realized that he could not anticipate the major changes that would result from the deregulation of the banking industry. However, he believed that if he got the best and the brightest people into the company, they would find a way to prevail, and he was right. Warren Buffett subsequently called Wells Fargo's executives the best management team in business, and the company prospered spectacularly. Good to great companies never hire the wrong person, even if there is a dire need. Instead, they hire as many right people as possible, even without specific jobs in mind for them. Additionally, when these companies realize that they have the wrong person, they act immediately to either fire that employee or move them to a more suitable position. Procrastinating can lead to frustration for the rest of the organization. In conclusion, hiring the right people is crucial for the success of any company. Good to great companies focus on character traits rather than professional abilities, foster an environment where hard workers thrive, and act quickly to remove the wrong people. By focusing on hiring the right people, companies can create a strong foundation for success. Chapter 6. To achieve success, it is necessary to confront reality while maintaining unwavering faith. Good to great companies walk a tightrope between confronting the brutal facts of their reality and maintaining unwavering faith that they will ultimately prevail. The Stockdale Paradox, named after a U.S. admiral who survived captivity and torture during the Vietnam War, emphasizes the importance of balancing these two things. Stockdale did not indulge in foolish optimism, but rather maintained his faith while confronting the harsh realities of his situation. Good to great companies do the same, acknowledging the challenges they face without becoming defeatist. In fact, some see challenges as opportunities to excel. For example, when Procter & Gamble entered the paper-based goods market, Scott Paper felt defeated and attempted to diversify into areas where P&G did not compete. In contrast, Kimberly-Clark saw the competition as an opportunity to compete against the best and even held a moment of silence for P&G during an executive meeting. 2 decades later, Kimberly-Clark owned Scott Paper and dominated P&G in 6 out of 8 product categories. In conclusion, good to great companies have the ability to confront the brutal facts of their situation while still maintaining faith that they will ultimately prevail. They see challenges as opportunities to excel and master the delicate balance between acknowledging the harsh realities they face and remaining optimistic about their future. By doing so, these companies can achieve great success. Chapter 7. Creating an environment where harsh realities can be discussed openly is a crucial responsibility of leaders. Leaders have a responsibility to create an environment where tough issues can be discussed without hesitation, as a company cannot face harsh realities if they are never voiced. A strong and charismatic leader can be a liability if it means that others are reluctant to share unpleasant truths with them. In management meetings, leaders should act as Socratic moderators, asking questions to uncover truthful opinions rather than providing ready answers. Encouraging debates during meetings can also lead to better decision-making. When mistakes are made, it is important to study them carefully to understand what went wrong without assigning blame, as this can discourage people from voicing the truth. Red flag mechanisms can be put in place to empower the team to raise concerns, ensuring that leaders pay attention to the truth, even if it is difficult to hear. According to Collins, good to great companies do not necessarily have more or better information than comparison companies. Instead, they confront the truth and deal with it more honestly. By creating an environment where tough issues can be discussed openly, leaders can ensure that their companies are better equipped to handle challenges and make informed decisions based on honest feedback. In conclusion, creating a culture where tough issues can be discussed openly is essential for the success of any company. Leaders should act as Socratic moderators, encourage debates, and avoid assigning blame when mistakes are made. By empowering their team to voice their concerns through red flag mechanisms, leaders can ensure that they are equipped with honest feedback. By confronting the truth and dealing with it honestly, companies can make informed decisions and be better prepared to handle challenges. Chapter 8. To adhere to the simple hedgehog concept, cultivate a culture of rigorous self-discipline. The hedgehog concept is a method that enables an organization to create a compass for achieving greatness by asking a few fundamental questions. However, to get the most out of this method, a culture of rigorous self-discipline is crucial. It is not enough to know the direction in which the company is headed. Active steps must be taken to get there. This culture of self-discipline is not the same as a culture enforced by a single disciplinary tyrant, as this approach is not sustainable. A company filled with people who have high levels of diligence and intensity is essential to achieving success. Good to great companies understand the importance of operating efficiently and focus on their simple hedgehog strategy. Wells Fargo is an example of a company that recognized the importance of operating efficiently in the deregulated banking world. The company froze C-suite salaries, sold corporate jets, and replaced the executive dining room with a cheap college dorm caterer. The CEO even reprimanded people who submitted reports in fancy, expensive binders. These actions may not have been necessary for Wells Fargo to become a great company, but they demonstrated the company's willingness to go the extra mile. The leadership went along with these changes because they knew that luxuries were not helping them achieve their simple hedgehog goal and had the self-discipline to sacrifice these comforts. A culture of rigorous self-discipline is essential for the success of any company. Good to great companies focus on their simple hedgehog strategy and recognize the importance of operating efficiently. They have a team of people who have high levels of diligence and intensity and are willing to go the extra mile to achieve success. By sacrificing luxuries and focusing on their goals, good to great companies can achieve greatness. Conclusion. The important lesson to be learned is that companies that transition from being good to great do so by developing a simple hedgehog concept, employing the right people, particularly in leadership positions, and pursuing their strategy with a strong culture of rigor and self-discipline. To create a hedgehog concept, a series of focused questions can be asked, such as, what can the company excel at more than any other in the world? What is the company passionate about? And what is the primary economic indicator the company should focus on? By answering these questions, a company can develop a clear and concise strategy that can guide its growth and success. Additionally, a culture of self-discipline and rigor is necessary to ensure that the company stays on track and adheres to this strategy. By implementing these principles, a company can transition from being good to great and achieve sustainable long-term success.